What is up, car addicts? In this video, I'll be talking about this week's Triple Money Event Week as well as the property and vehicle discounts. This event week is for July 7th through July 18th, 2022. So this event week is about a week and a half instead of the usual 1 week. And usually when this happens, it's because a DLC releases on the day after, so theoretically on July 19th, we should receive the brand new summer DLC. Very exciting for sure. I'm sure Rockstar's going to post a newswire probably later today or tomorrow covering that. The current prize ride for this week is the Zion Classic. So this car is primarily based on the BMW E24 M6. It has a normal price of about $800,000. To get this car for free, you have to place top 5 in an LS CarMate Series race for 3 days in a row. In terms of performance, this car is in the Sports Classics class and is in top 10 for most tracks in terms of lap time, but obviously it's still a ways off the pace of some of the top performing ones like the Turismo Classic. Overall, it's a great car with good customization with a great design both for the exterior and the interior as well. Again, overall a great car. In terms of the test ride vehicles for this week, we have the Neo, the Thrax, and the Emirates. And for next-gen console players, we have the Astron Custom as the HSW test ride vehicle for this week. Now, in terms of the casino podium vehicle, we have the Segoy. So this car is primarily based on the FK8 Honda Civic Type R and has a normal price of about $1.2 million and a trade price of about $900,000. In terms of performance, this car is in the sports class and is one of the slower performing ones in that class, mainly because of its front-wheel drive configuration that honestly is one of my least favorite cars in terms of handling in game. I'm not a fan of the way it drives personally. However, I will mention that it is a good looking car that's styled very closely to its real life counterpart, which I do like, and does have good customization as well. So starting off with the property discounts, we have 40% off the arcades, which is great. This property is of course needed to host a casino heist. Moving along, we have 40% off the renovations for the casino penthouse, but not the actual penthouse itself. Very annoying and strange, so only the renovations. Very weird. Anyways, moving on to the vehicle discounts, we have 30% off the Komoda, an awesome car to drive with great customization. It is in the sports car class and is around mid-pack in that class, which isn't too bad for a sedan. Moving along, we have 30% off the Nebula GTS. So this SUV is actually one of the top performing ones in the SUVs class alongside the Novak and the Astron. However, it's still a ways off the pace of the Tauros, which is currently still the king and is a lot cheaper as well. Next up, we have 30% off the Emirates, one of the top performing cars in the supercar class alongside the Krieger. A must own for all players in my opinion. However, if you're on next gen, remember that the HSW weaponized Ignis is still currently the king for most supercar races. Moving along, we have 30% off the Neo, a great looking car in the sports class with great customization as well, and it's in top 5 for performance on most tracks because of its great acceleration and straight line speed as well. However, it does suffer a bit in terms of handling in comparison to most of the other top performing sports cars. Next up, we have 30% off the Thrax. So this car is in top 10 for performance in the supercar class and is a really nice car to drive with fantastic handling and customization as well. However, it does have a lower top speed than the Emirates and Krieger, which is why it can't compete with them as well. Moving on to the Severn San Andreas website, we have 30% off the Nagasaki Outlaw. So this vehicle is in the off-roads class and is pretty quick, but nowhere near the pace of vehicles like the Vagrant or the Camacho. However, it's still a pretty fun one to drive and customize as well, but definitely think twice about that price. I think it's still on the expensive side. And speaking of the Vagrant, next up we have 30% off the Vagrant, which is the quickest performing vehicle in the off-roads class if we don't include the dirt bikes. Obviously the BF400 is still the king of the off-road races, but depending on the race, the Vagrant can definitely put up a good fight. Moving along, we have 30% off the Hellion, also in the off-roads class. This one is around the pace of the Outlaw we talked about earlier in terms of performance, and it's a good vehicle with great customization as well. Next up, we have 30% off the Nebula Turbo. So this car is in the Sports Classics class and is one of the worst performing cars in that class, unfortunately, but it's still a ton of fun to drift with and has great customization as well. And lastly, we have 30% off the Car 4x4, which is mainly based on the Ford Raptor, an awesome truck with tons of customization, one of my favorites for sure. And it actually surprisingly has good performance in the off-roads class. However, do bear in mind that if you're off-roading with it pretty aggressively, the front end has a pretty low hitbox regardless of what bumper upgrade you have, so sometimes that can be an issue depending on how you're off-roading. In terms of login items, you can get 100,000 GTA dollars just for logging in during the event week period, which is pretty cool. In terms of miscellaneous discounts, we have 50% off the utility vests and the fitted suit jackets from the casino updates. In terms of triple money, we have triple money NRP on casino work, which you request from Miss Baker. In terms of double money, we have double money NRP on open wheel races, which is awesome. These pay out pretty well with a full lobby, especially in terms of RP. Next up, we have double money NRP on the adversary mode overtime shootout. And lastly, we have double money NRP on Gerald's last play missions. In terms of bonuses, diamonds are back for the casino heist for all players. However, there is only an 18% chance of getting them, so not really that great, unfortunately. Moving on to the Prime Gaming discounts for Prime Gaming members only. So again, same as usual, the only thing we have is the usual free $100,000 for logging in during the event week period. And lastly, this week's RC Bandito time trial is Cypress Flats. This week's normal time trial is Galileo Park. I highly recommend a fast bike such as the Hakachu Drag, Shotaro, or a Batty 801 for this time trial. In terms of the premium race for this week, we have the Supercar Race Downtown Underground. I highly recommend either the Emirates or Krieger for this race, and if you're on next gen, I highly recommend using the HSW Weaponized Ignis or the Cyclone 2. And lastly, for next gen console users, the HSW time trial for this week is East Vinewood. As always, the HSW Hakachu Drag will be the best one for these. Every Friday I post a guide on how to easily beat all the time trials, so stay tuned for that if you're new. In terms of my vehicle discount pick of the week, I'm gonna have to go with the Emirates. At this price, this is an absolute steal for one of the fastest supercars in the class for racing. Anyways guys, hope this was helpful. Overall, I think this is a decent event week themed around the casino updates, but obviously it's not really that great of an event week, and this is to be expected as we approach the new DLC, which should most likely release on the 19th. I'm sure either later today or tomorrow we should receive a newswire post giving information about this DLC, which I'll definitely be covering, so stay tuned for that. As we're approaching this DLC, now's the time to start grinding those Skyhope Eco Heist guys as much as you can, because as usual, these DLCs are going to be very expensive, and I know a lot of the discounts are pretty tempting this week, but try to hold off, save your money for the DLC as much as you can. Anyways guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.